Tanaka creates a shockwave and launches at Haruka, so Haruka raises his hands to defend himself. Before Tanaka left the white room, he saw that there were only trash skills left on the skill board, so even if he doesn't exactly know what skills Haruka has, Tanaka is sure he must be superior to someone like him. Tanaka then uses his magic to conjure and launch several rocks at Haruka, but as Haruka tries to defend himself again, Tanaka uses a tweak skill to hinder his movements, so Haruka is frozen in place for a second and just barely able to dodge out of the way before the rocks could crush him. Even though Haruka can still move, he is a lot slower than normal as a result of Tanaka's skill, and Tanaka intends to take full advantage of Haruka's debuff, so Tanaka begins spawning crystal spikes beneath him. Haruka manages to evade all the spikes by jumping side to side, but he won't be able to keep this up for much longer. Tanaka commends Haruka for surviving this long against him, but before he finishes Haruka off, Tanaka has one question he wants to ask. Tanaka wants to know when Haruka first started suspecting him, and Haruka tells him that he has been suspicious from the very start because there had to have been a reason why Tanaka was sticking around the delinquents back then. Tanaka is impressed that Haruka's instincts were spot on, but now Haruka has a question he wants to ask as well. Haruka wants to know when Tanaka began plotting his despicable plan, and Tanaka proudly states that he has been planning this out from the very beginning. It was a bit of a setback when Tanaka realized that Class Rep had gotten the hijack skill instead of him, but once he got his tweak skill, a skill that allows him to interfere with the movements of others to an extent, Tanaka knew he could still come out on top. He played his cards right. Just then Tanaka uses magic roots to bind Haruka to the ground, and while Haruka is stuck in place, Tanaka launches a massive fireball to burn him to ash. Tanaka believed this would be enough to kill Haruka, but to his surprise Haruka absorbs the magic and emerges unharmed. Haruka wasn't sure that would work when he tried it, but Haruka is glad he got that magic absorbing vine fused into his staff. Now while Tanaka is still frozen in surprise, Haruka goes on the offensive and charges at him. However, just before Haruka could land a decisive blow, Tanaka summons a sword to block it. Sure, Tanaka was surprised that Haruka managed to block his fire magic, but magic isn't his only means of attacking. Tanaka has so many weapons at his disposal that he is having a hard time deciding which weapon he should use to kill Haruka. For fun, Tanaka decides that he will just use them all to tear Haruka to pieces and charges forward to attack. Haruka tries his best to defend himself, but with all the different attack patterns Tanaka is using, Haruka is unable to keep track of him. Eventually, Haruka gets caught off guard and is knocked backwards into some bushes, and by the time he gets up, Tanaka lands a devastating slash that sends Haruka flying across the forest floor. Haruka survives the slash, but he is out of breath and struggling to get back up. Tanaka soon catches up to him and stands over Haruka's body with a smug look on his face, and as much as Haruka doesn't want to admit it, he might be cooked. Tanaka has too many different attack patterns, and on top of that, he has been using a lot of different skills, so Haruka could assumes Tanaka must have copied the skills of all their classmates using the copycat skill. Tanaka is surprised that Haruka managed to figure it out so quickly, and since Tanaka had admitted to it, Haruka deduces that Tanaka must be after Class Rep because he wants to copy her hijack skill and use it to steal all the original skills. Once Tanaka has stolen all the overpowered skills, he will become the most overpowered person in this world. Tanaka begins attacking Haruka again with the scythe this time, and Haruka is knocked back by the power of his strike. Haruka won't be able to handle much more of this, so he tries to launch an attack of his own to catch Tanaka off guard, but as Haruka strikes, it turns out that Tanaka just used illusion magic to trick him. After seeing that nothing he does will work against Tanaka, Haruka seemingly gives up and stands still while Tanaka charges at him with a sword. But at the last second, Haruka laughs and dodges the sword while whispering in Tanaka's ear that he's figured out his secret. Tanaka is no longer able to easily land hits on Haruka, and Haruka explains that he was intentionally letting Tanaka unleash all the attacks he had at his disposal, so he could find a weakness. While Tanaka was attacking, Haruka noticed that Tanaka never used the same skill more than thrice for some reason, and from that, Haruka deduced that there must be a limit to how many times Tanaka could use his copied skills. So if he just kept dodging long enough, Tanaka is going to run out of skills he uses. Tanaka is a bit panicky that Haruka was able to figure out his weakness, but Tanaka still believes he can take Haruka down before he runs out of skills. However, as Tanaka tries to strike Haruka, Haruka easily leaps over to Tanaka and counterattacks him. Haruka has gotten used to Tanaka's speed, so no matter how many different skills Tanaka throws at him, Haruka won't be caught off guard anymore. Haruka charges at Tanaka to land a finishing blow while Tanaka is still disoriented, but Haruka is forced to back off when Tanaka suddenly fires a magic beam at him. Even if Haruka knows Tanaka's secret weakness, he is still overpowered, so he shouldn't be underestimated in the slightest. Tanaka is starting to show signs of exhaustion, but Tanaka gets back to his feet and yells that he will never allow himself to lose to the likes of Haruka. Tanaka may be at a disadvantage now, but he still has one trick up his sleeve, so Tanaka starts running around the forest to overwhelm Haruka. Tanaka's movements are so unpredictable that Haruka has a hard time keeping up with him, but by the time Haruka finally figures out what Tanaka is up to, it's already too late, as Tanaka has already cast his death skill on Haruka. Once the skill takes effect, Haruka falls over and Tanaka begins laughing over his body because he has finally triumphed. Tanaka says because of Haruka, he was forced to use up almost all of his saved skills, but it doesn't matter since once Tanaka kills his classmates and claims the hijack skill for himself, he can get as many permanent skills as he wants. Then Tanaka kicks Haruka's head and begins walking away, but as he is leaving, Haruka speaks up and says it's rude to step on someone's head without apologizing. Tanaka can't believe Haruka is still alive because the death skill has a 100% success rate and Haruka is still level 11, but Haruka has a skill that makes him resistant to negative status effects. Also, Haruka rolled double M's when he first got here, so his luck status is maxed out, which is probably why the death effect didn't work on him. Haruka just fell to the ground for dramatic effects since he thought it would be funny. Tanaka doesn't see the humor in any of this and questions how Haruka is even able to move in the first place, since Tanaka used Tweak to restrict his movements from the very start of the fight. Haruka admits that the Tweak skill is really troublesome, and in reality Haruka hasn't been able to move his body at all since Tanaka used that skill on him, but Haruka happens to have a puppet skill, so he has been using that to control his body from the outside this entire time. All the skills Haruka acquired may seem useless on the surface, but in his hands they become insanely powerful. Tanaka refuses to accept that he is losing to someone with nothing but trash skills, so Tanaka begins slashing erratically at Haruka, but Haruka easily parries the slashes away and warns Tanaka that he is going to run out his skills if Tanaka keeps this up. Tanaka refuses to listen and tries hitting Haruka with an overhead slash, but as expected Haruka walks out completely unharmed and tells Tanaka that now his game has come to an end. Tanaka doesn't understand how this could happen to a genius like him since he had perfectly calculated everything to make sure he would come out on top. No matter what, 1 + 1 always adds up to 2, so according to his math, Haruka should never have been able to become this strong. Haruka tells Tanaka that his way of thinking is very naive, because sure, math made sense when they were back on Earth, but the laws of Earth don't apply here. Tanaka has always been a genius when it came to school, so he was constantly bored out of his mind and surrounded by his idiotic classmates. Tanaka wished there was a way to put an end to his boring school life, and his prayers were answered when the class got summoned to this world. As soon as Tanaka saw the skill board, he quickly did some calculations to figure out the most exciting way to live his new life. So Tanaka concluded that he had to kill all his classmates and take their skills for himself. So no matter how psychopathic that may make him sound, Tanaka refuses to let nobody like Haruka get in the way of his plan. Tanaka continues attacking with the rest of his skills, but by now he has to be running low on options, so Haruka thinks he might be able to take advantage of that and finally finish Tanaka off. But just as he is about to land the killing blow, the sword stabs his shoulder from behind, and Tanaka reveals that he can control weapons from a distance as well. While Haruka is bleeding and on his knees, Tanaka begins slashing at him with the sword and claims victory is finally his. But Haruka smacks Tanaka with his staff and knocks him away. Tanaka may have created an elaborate plan to ensure his victory, but that is all he had going for him. Tanaka's copycat skill was overpowered from the start, so he never had to put any effort into learning to adapt as Haruka did, and that is why Tanaka is going to lose. Tanaka desperately tries to stab Haruka with his sword, but Haruka is way ahead of him and takes him out with his gambit skill. With this, Tanaka is fatally wounded and falls over dead, but even though Haruka ends up winning this battle, he is still badly wounded in the process, and all the pain comes rushing back to him the second he relaxes. On top of that, all the skills Haruka used during the fight have left him completely drained, so he is on the verge of passing out. However, just before Haruka hits the ground, he is caught by the nerds. Haruka is glad to see them, but he really wishes they had shown a lot sooner, so they could help him with the fight. They may have missed all the fighting, but they are here to help now. Haruka is grateful for the help, but Haruka wonders how they even knew he was out there. They explain that class rep found them just as they were leaving the dungeon, so she told them all about the fight Haruka was in. They couldn't just stand by and let Haruka handle it all by himself, so they took off ahead into the woods to help him. Eventually they all make it back to the city, and all the girls are out standing by the gate to greet Haruka. They are all really worried about him and say they have a feast prepared in his honor, but all this attention makes Haruka feel awkward. Just then the leader of the jocks comes out to see Haruka, and he doesn't need any words and just high-fives Haruka in celebration of his victory. Now all is done, the girls suggest that they all head back to the inn since the bath is ready and they could all use a good bath. So they drag Haruka off. Meanwhile, the popular girls stay behind and finally apologize to the nerds like they have meant to do. The nerds are surprised by this since they never would have expected these girls to show such humility, but they've come to understand they were wrong for how they treated the nerds, and they appreciate everything they did for the group. It looks like everything has been wrapped up quite nicely, so Haruka believes there is no need for him to stay here any longer, so Haruka begins sneaking away to return to his life in the woods. However, before Haruka could get away, Class Rep spots him and asks where Haruka thinks he is going. Class Rep was so worried that Haruka might end up dead from his fight, and now Haruka is finally back. He is trying to leave again. Haruka apologizes, so Class Rep says it's fine as long as Haruka doesn't try to ditch them again, and this time all the girls will be watching him, so there is no way Haruka is getting away from them again. So now what will happen to Haruka? Subscribe to our channel to find out what will happen next. So friends, if you liked our recap video, then please like and share this video and do not forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching.